Hello again YouTube, this is my second video to introduce me, and in this video I'm going to tell you the reasons why being a self-employed same-day courier really suits me and why I like the job. So this is the start, this is the middle of my 11th week of doing this job. So I have done it for long enough to know that it's a good job for me. But I'm also aware that I haven't done it that long, that I'm still in the honeymoon phase where everything's so exciting and interesting. Maybe 2 or 3 years down the line I might feel differently about it, but I don't think I will. Yeah, so these are the reasons why this is the right job for me. I think I've got about 6 reasons. The first one is about not really having a boss. So let me explain the context to that. In my working life, in my 20s and 30s, and half my 40s, I was aspiring to work in a career. I was trying to have what I called a successful career. By that, it would be about having more responsibility to earn more money, to get more responsibility to earn more money. And I was just not very good at it. I just was not suited to a career ladder style way of working. And it took me many, many years of frustration and anxiety and stress and just feeling unsatisfied before I worked out what I really wanted was just to do a job, just to go out, get paid for the work that I do, and then go home, and not take anything back with me. So I think this is probably a very common reason why people like this job. It's that you don't have to answer to anyone. I can do this job however I choose to do it. And if you're out there and you are also doing this job, you might not agree with the way that I do my job, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. We'll do it the way we want to do it. That's the whole beauty of this sort of work. So my bosses are my customers. So I actually have lots of bosses at the end of the day, but they're all people who seem to like the style of service that I want to provide. Or at least that's the impression I got so far. I think that my style suits this job. So I think at this point I will just give you a little rundown as to my career history to give you some context. Might be helpful as I'm introducing myself as well. So I'm 52 years old. I've done this job, as I said, since March this year as a self-employed same day, next day courier driver. Prior to this, I worked for about 4 years for the largest online retailer in the world as a multi-drop delivery driver. Prior to that, I was working for about 10 years for a charity, and that charity was focused on helping family carers. And then prior to that, after I left university, I was a teacher in a secondary school for the best part of 10 years. So the teaching and the care work were where I was trying to have a career, and the multi-drop delivery work was when I just had a job. And when I had a job, all the stress went away. In that particular example, working for the online retailer, I still felt like I was employed, but on the day-to-day basis I was on the road on my own. So, and again, it wasn't a career, I wasn't looking to go anywhere. I was just going to do the job I did on the day, every day. Every day was a new day. Same with this job. Okay, the second reason I'd like to mention that I like this job, again I have to introduce a little bit about me and my character to explain this. So within the last year I have realised that I have undiagnosed autistic traits. So I've always found it quite anxiety inducing being around people. But I can pretend to be what they call neurotypical. I can pretend to be confident. I can pretend to do small talk and feel like that's what I want to do. I would much rather spend my life on my own, and this job is an amazing opportunity to do that. I'm on my own for hours at a time in my van. There's no one telling me what to do. I'm just doing my own thoughts, listening to the radio, listening to music. It is a perfect way of spending, for someone like me, 8 to 10, 15 hours a day. The only interactions that I have to deal with are at pick up and drop off. And they are low key, very pleasant, very easy to do. When I'm picking up a load, the person that I'm dealing with is usually happy to see me and usually wants me to take stuff off their hands. So that's quite pleasant. And when I'm dropping off, the person I'm going to drop off usually wants to see me and usually wants what I'm giving them. So again, very easy, low-key kind of interactions that I can deal with. And they're quite short, and I can come across as being comfortable and confident in those situations. I think the third thing I'd like to mention is I really enjoy the mental challenge of this job. You get to so many different places around the country. It's really interesting. I love the interesting things you do. Today, for example, I was delivering some replica shirts that have been printed off for a playoff final at Wembley for one of the teams who have got through this year. So they're really excited. They've got a good weekend coming up. It might turn out to be bad for them in the end. They might not qualify, but at the moment, right now, my delivery was helping them have an exciting weekend. So I love that. It's really nice. But in terms of the challenge is constant. So every single day it's a new challenge. It's how do I get myself to the right part of the country? How do I get myself there with the lowest mileage at the right time? How do I bid correctly so I get the work in the first place? How do I interact with people? It's all interesting challenges, and I find that stimulating every single day. I think the fourth thing that I would say is more about why the job suits me, and it might not apply to everybody, but I would describe, when I was young I was described as being shy, which is true, and I would describe myself as being an introvert. And by introvert I mean that I find, see, now I know why I'm introverted, because of I think it's now because of my autistic traits. Before I realised this, in the last few months, I just thought that's who I was. But now I can look at this through the eyes of someone with autistic traits and think, oh yeah, that's why you feel uncomfortable with people. So anyway, the point is that I don't have big highs and big lows emotionally. I'm quite steady emotionally. I don't get very angry, I don't get very happy. So I'm not ruled by my emotions, my feelings. I do have those feelings, but they're quite low in intensity. And what that means is when I'm dealing with someone, I can find it very easy to be patient and polite with them. So if I'm with someone and they're having a bad day, because everyone I'm dealing with is at work at the end of the day, they are doing a job. They could be pretty busy, under pressure themselves, they could be stressed, they could be uncomfortable, they could be having problems out of work, problems in work. So sometimes, rarely, but sometimes you might get someone who's quite rude to you. And I find it quite easy just to let them vent until they've calmed down, and then they can engage with me in a way which is more productive. I think if you were somebody who got wound up easily, if you found people being rude to you triggered you and made you emotional, I think you would struggle with this job, not on a daily basis, but just on those occasions when the people are like that to you. So like I don't ever egg it, it's not every day, most of the time it's not like that. But sometimes you might get a run of people and run of situations where you're stressed and they're stressed, and I just think for me, I can dial that down quite easily. If you were someone who couldn't do that, you would probably struggle with this sort of job. And the next thing, the fifth thing that I think works for me is I've always had a very clear, strong work ethic in my life. I've always wanted to work hard and found it easy to work hard. It's my natural default position. And I'm not saying that's better or worse than anyone else, it's just who I am. But for this job, I found in the time I've done it a very simple rule: the harder you work, the more money you get. It's as simple as that. That's not the only formula for this job, but that is a key part. You will not make money if you're not prepared to work hard. But equally, you will make money if you're prepared to work hard. And so, in the past, when I've had salaried jobs, I've put in extra hours, I've worked hard, I've given that job my time, and it's been probably pretty pointless at the end of the day because I don't get paid any more for it. And so I have learnt for myself that I want a job where if I put more effort in, I get more out. And this job is definitely that. And so the earning potential for this job is quite high. I will disclose at this point in time my target, my daily target, and I'll explain what it is, how I work out as well. So my daily target is £250 after I pay for my fuel, and I aim to do 5 days work a week on average. So in the weeks I've done this job, I've not got close to that most of the time. Probably on 2 weeks I've got close to or met that target. But I'm not going to change that as being my target for a couple of reasons. The first thing is, just because I haven't met it doesn't mean it's not the right target for me. And so I am getting better at this job, and the times that I've been getting close to that has been recently when I've been more experienced. So I've learned that when I first started doing this job, I made quite a lot of mistakes and I wasn't getting anywhere near the target I wanted. And that could have put me off, but I just knew I was going to get better. And secondly, the second reason why I'm not too concerned about if I meet that every time is I could earn a bit less and it still work. This job would still work for me. But in my mind, if I have that figure in my head, £250 after fuel, that's a good working figure for me to know whether I need to do that next job or whether I don't need to do the next job that's on offer. And as I said, it's a work in progress. I haven't got there yet. I'm working to achieve that level on a regular basis, but I am confident that I can get to that point. So that was about me, what I want to earn, and with this job I can earn that sort of level of money. The potential is there. And the last of my 6 reasons why I like this job, although there would be other ones I could mention, is again, it's about my character. I want to develop what I'm referring to as personal integrity. I feel I have it, but I want to develop it further. And there's a specific set of traits that I want to demonstrate in my life. I want to be somebody who is reliable. I want to be someone who's trustworthy, who is honest and open. And I want to be somebody who people would describe those words if they talked about me. And so the only way in which that's going to ever happen is if I actually act upon those things and do those things. And same-day courier work, in my mind, if you do it correctly, how I see it being done correctly, So for example, if you arrive on time to your pick up and drop off, if you communicate clearly to your shipper what you're doing, if things are going wrong, or even just what you've done, if you are professional and polite and admit to your mistakes and ask for help when you need it, I think those are all the qualities that you would make a good same-day self-employed courier. And they're all the qualities that, if I can do those, I'm good at my job, but also it makes me the kind of person that I want to be. So this job reminds me every day about the sorts of things I should do to be the kind of person that I want to be. And that's another reason, the sixth reason why I like, in fact at this moment, love this job. I'm going to bring this video to a close in a moment, but I am going to just end on one last thing, which is about, again, a bit about me, but what I want to do through these videos. So one of the focuses of the videos that's not just about my experiences as a same-day courier is I want to encourage you, via what I'm doing, to think about what you learn as you go through life. And so I'm going to have a focus of what I've learned each day doing this job, and I'm going to say that as I go through. So some days when I do this video, I will tell you what I've learned that day about the job or about myself. But because I've done this job already for 11, this is my 11th week, so almost just over 2 whole months, I have learned a lot already. So some of the things I tell you in my videos coming up will be things I've already learned that I'm going to share with you, because they're things that I would want to have known. But my point about that is this: I learned a lot from looking at YouTube videos, but I've learnt actually that really the way that I learn best is by doing the job. By doing this job, I make the mistakes, and those mistakes form distinct memories in my brain that I can then recall to make me do the job better in the future. So I would just like to explain that although YouTube is great, I find I learn more now from just doing the job. And maybe you would be the same. If you're watching this and you're not currently doing it, and you think the reasons I've said in this video apply to you, I would definitely encourage you, if you can, to do this job. Okay, thank you for listening. What have you learnt today?